It's Thursday, September 7th at 6 PM. This is a meeting of the Board of Directors of Abington ACAM, that's Abington Community Access and Media, Inc., the private nonprofit 501c3 corporation that runs the cable access television here in Abington. We are licensed by the town to do so. So the first item on our agenda is old and new business. I have none. Does anybody have any?
I do not.
Do not.
I do not.
Second item is approval of meeting minutes. Which I didn't even know what.
So we're approving both the May 25th and the October
May
18th,
25th, 2023, and last,
October 2022.
oh, I lost one of mine. The October 18th, 2022 was actually the annual meeting of members. So just one amendment that I have is to change that in the heading from annual directors meeting to annual members meeting.
That was just a typo, and that's,
Yeah.
Directors were there. It's just the bylaws have it as members. Do you have a motion?
A motion to approve meeting minutes from
Second.
October.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other minutes are from,
May 25th.
oh, we don't have a date, May 25th, 2023. I don't know what day it was.
I think it was a Wednesday, but it's still May
Yeah,
25th.
That's fine. Any comments?
I can tell you right now.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It was still May 25th.
Okay.
Thursday,
25th, right?
May 25th.
Correct. I was not in attendance at that meeting. I had business taking me out of town, but I did review it, and I just wanted to comment, thank you for guiding the tax reports being completed. And I know that was
Thank you.
noteworthy, so thanks for getting that done. But as far as the minutes of May 25th, I think they all looked pretty good. I move to accept those minutes or approve those minutes.
But you can't, because you aren't here.
Okay, that's why I was asking who could do that. I'd move if I was there, but I'm not.
Yeah, any of it.
Having reviewed them, the content was good.
Thank you.
Oh, a
Do we have a-
motion to approve?
Yeah. And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. An abstention.
Next item on the agenda is banking, studio banking. Currently have $101,032.19 in a CD that matures on May 21st of 2024. That's at 4% interest. A money market with $160,372.97 at 0.1% interest. In the checking, and this was over the weekend, $163,021.84 for a total of $424,427. We have 5 annuities, and they total $606,840. So they are $120,000 each, and the first 2 have earned a total $6,840 interest. So that's $3,420 between them. We opened the second two annuities in September of last year, so we haven't received those statements yet. They give them to us annually. They give us interest statements annually. We can see them anytime, but, so I don't have that number yet. And the fifth annuity was opened in December. So this December will be a year. We have the first 2 months of the fiscal year, outstanding unreimbursed expenditures, $28,306.11 in July and $24,546.25 in August. So I'll get to that in a minute, but so that's for a total of $1,084,119.36.
Lisa, if I could, just to
Yes.
comment, the July and August, as noted as unreimbursed.
Unreimbursed.
It's just the process hasn't happened where we generally are submitting quarterly to the town for reimbursement. So we would expect those to be reimbursed upon our next submission.
Yes, but there's a caveat to that.
There's a caveat.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did, before I get to that, I did want to say, on a kind of a side note, when I started with the corporation in June of 2018, we had a total in the bank of $614,440.16. And we now have the $1,084,000. So we've gained about $469,679.20. I just wanted to put that out there because even though I'm aware of that, I've never really said it that way, that in the last 5 years with fairly conservative spending, even though we've just remodeled the town hall, and the recovery of over $320,000 in uncashed checks, we've accumulated that $469,000. And also including interest, the corporation never invested in CDs or anything like that prior to 2018. Once we recovered the $300,000 in uncashed checks in early 2019, we started investing with CDs and annuities. So that is well over $10,000 right now. I have the 8,300 figure on here, but then I realized that we had CDs before that also gained interest that are not included in this. The CDs don't show up on the online banking because they're closed. So the interest rolled over into the checking when we closed them.
Now, can I ask a question, Lisa? Do we ever go to Abington Bank and see if they would give us a corporate savings account with a better interest rate than the money market or the CD? Have we ever asked them?
You know, the last time that the CD rolled over, I did ask them, and they said, no, it's at 0.1% in the money market. And
Now, have you ever looked at other banks in Abington that might offer something like that?
I talked to, is that Abington Savings Bank on the corner of Orange?
Santander now.
Santander,
So, I
yeah.
mean, you have
I talked to them.
400,000 in Abington Bank.
Mm-hmm, yeah, okay,
So they should be giving us a better interest rate.
you would think.
And if,
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
know,
raised it in a
I
conversation and.
know of other banks that would probably give you a better interest rate. So it might be time to look elsewhere if they're not gonna give us a better interest rate, because that's, I mean, at this point, you should have a better interest rate with $424,000 in their bank.
So the CD is, well, the money market gets the 0.1% interest, but the CD gets 4% interest now, the new one. And when we first opened them in 2019, I did go to several other banks, and they all told me that they didn't do commercial CDs, so that's why we ended up
But
with
it's like even just commercial
business CDs.
savings.
Is that right, commercial?
Even business savings, a lot of them do around,
Yeah.
because we have one, and I know we have a better
Yeah.
rate than that.
So the Abington Bank didn't have anything better than a CD to offer me for interest-bearing accounts. But I can certainly ask. Yeah.
there's other banks we can talk
Yeah,
to.
maybe
Yeah.
Harbor One, you might wanna look at Harbor One,
Harbor One. Oh, yeah, right on 18.
Yeah. Just to see if that, I mean, to move $424,000 over to another bank, they might give it to you, they might not, but
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt to ask.
I will call and find out, because it's been a few years since I talked to any of them. But we stayed with them because of the CD rates. They've been competitive, but the whole idea that most of them don't do business accounts for CDs.
Yeah.
And the move would be not more than 300,000 until our CD matures.
But even still,
May.
$300,000. in
Right,
a
so we
bank
just
that
have to see
you
if
don't utilize a
300,000
lot, it just sits there, it's money in their bank, because if you, I don't know if you understand what all the banks are having, they have to have their deposits now, because everything that's going on, so they want
Especially
businesses to keep
that
their
rank
money.
of banks.
Mm-hmm.
So, when the $50,000 CD matured, was it in April or May? We did roll that into another 4% interest, 11-month CD, and added $50,000 to that. So we're getting 4% interest on that 100,000. But so part of the reason I put on here July and August unreimbursed FY24 expenditures is because I know that Scott, the town manager, and Andrew, the town accountant, are talking to town council about changing the enterprise fund to a reserve appropriation fund. And I don't have anything specific on it, but I can tell you how it works, is that we save up reserve appropriation, we save up the 1 year of quarterly payments from Comcast and Verizon, because the corporation is funded through Comcast and Verizon subscriber franchise fees. It's not funded through the tax levy. So we will ideally roll this money over into a reserve appropriation fund from the enterprise fund, because PEG money, public education government, that's our whole cable access, is not allowed to be used for anything other than PEG purposes, and that's a DOR mandate. So I'm waiting to hear back what, if anything, they're going to do for a warrant article at a town meeting to potentially change the enterprise fund to a reserve appropriation fund. So currently, we accumulate all of our receipts monthly and make copies, give them to the town accountant, who cuts us a check for those receipts. So we pay for our expenses in advance and then are reimbursed by the town. We're reimbursed for every receipt we give them. If we don't give them to them for their review, or critique, or any kind of, if they have them, they make sure it totals, they write us a check.
That check is written from the enterprise fund funding.
The enterprise fund, from the Comcast and Verizon subscriber franchise fee receipts. So it would be better for everybody if we could do that with the reserve appropriation fund. And as I said, I don't know the specifics of it yet, but reserve appropriation fund would accumulate the money and give it to the studio, the corporation, for its operation. Because PEG money,
As a lump sum at the
as
end
a
of the
lump
year?
sum, yes.
At the end of one
So
fiscal
the
year?
question is,
It would,
the question is, will it be at the end of the year or the beginning of the year?
right.
Okay.
So the fiscal year starts on July 1st. This is fiscal year 2024. It starts on July 1st, and it's called for the year it ends in, 2024. Ends June 30th next year. So the question is, and I know they're hashing this out amongst themselves, is we know how much we received last year, so we do have a number to go on, but it's called reserve appropriation. So we may have to wait until next year, if it gets voted in a town meeting, to get the money out of the reserve appropriation
When
fund.
you say next year, you mean after July? of
July 1st of 2024, next
24.
fiscal year.
Because how
Okay, so it's not a
it would
full
have
year.
to work, if I may,
Yeah.
on a town meeting article. So just, what do you get, 280,000?
Yeah, roughly,
Is
yeah,
that what we have in there right now?
That's
No.
about what we,
So
annually-
if-
annually, yeah.
If you receive $280,000 from Comcast and Verizon, the town would have that going into town meeting. So that's the number in the article. The article would read something like, to give ACAM
Reserve and appropriate.
$280,000 received by Comcast and Verizon. So there's gonna be a fixed number in there, and once it's approved at town meeting article, you don't have to submit invoices and all that, you'll just get the check for the $280,000.
Okay, so that is why we haven't reimbursed anything since
Correct.
July and August for this
Yeah, and
year.
it's only 2 months, usually I
but
would wait
How much do we
quarterly.
have in the enterprise fund right now?
Well, I know we got Comcast and Verizon payments in August for April, May, and
That quarter.
June, that quarter. And they were about 64,000. Actually, didn't write that number down for some reason, but, so we have that, and we did have 15,000 in retained earnings left over.
And that's the other
79?
thing, the retained earnings.
Yeah.
If you get 280,000 from Comcast and Verizon, and you only spend 200,000, and I'm just using numbers,
We still get the 280, right?
no.
No.
Oh?
No, right now you
Oh, right
don't.
now we don't, I'm
You
talking,
don't.
but in the
No,
other
But
one
if
we
this
would.
was the other one, then you would get it also.
Yeah.
There'd be no reserve funds
Yeah.
that you'd have to wait 2 years to get.
What
Yeah.
happens to the retained earnings that are in the enterprise fund now? Would they take
Now?
Everything
Carries
would-
forward.
Everything would go forward,
we-
okay.
it's never lost, it's
No.
just delayed getting to us.
Yeah, and
Well,
with
so
this
what I'm-
new article, you'd be able to get all your money every year.
But what about the reserve funds? Because that's above and beyond the
The
280.
retained earnings.
Yeah,
The
the
retained-
reserve.
So there, as I understand it, there would be no retained earnings with the reserve appropriation fund because what they take in from Comcast and Verizon would go directly to us. We wouldn't
Less
have to
their
wait.
fee,
So, I'm sorry?
less their fee.
Yeah, less their fee. I don't know,
Is it the same as the
haven't heard
enterprise
any
fund
mention
as
of
far
a
as the
fee
fee?
for that, so.
Is
Yeah,
that fee is,
Unknown.
It shouldn't be as much because you're not
Yeah.
doing
They're
$7,000.
not, they're not doing the review of receipts,
invoices.
yeah.
Just writing a check.
Yeah, so that's
oh, so you
why
don't have the fees broken out like before, so we can see how much their fee was?
it's about $10,000.
Yeah,
9,000.
because they actually didn't include it as part of our budget this year. This was a town accountant thing. The enterprise fund fee was taken out separate from,
Yeah, and I.
because we don't invoice for that. So
Right.
they took that out and didn't include it in what we received.
One of our payments? They took it out of one of our payments? Is that what you're?
One of the Comcast and Verizon payments, yeah,
Because
they took it out
otherwise,
of
if they
the
did it the other way,
enterprise fund.
then it would almost end up being retained earnings because there's no invoice for it.
Oh, so they took it out of one of your reimbursable things that we signed off on
Yeah,
instead of
they
taking
just-
out of the retained earnings that was already in there?
They just took it
Okay.
out of the total.
So
they,
other towns do it this way,
yeah,
Okay,
several other towns.
that makes
do it.
sense.
This way
It makes
being, the
sense.
reserve appropriations
Reserve
fund is in
appropriation.
play,
It's basically
Whitman,
a
Quincy,
pass-through.
others are doing it.
others, yeah.
The state says that it has to go through the town. So Quincy, Whitman, Hanson, PAC TV, all these other ones, they get the check, they write the checks to the studio.
The thing about it is that the town licenses us to run the studio. They say, okay, here you go.
So they
Run
charge
with
us
it.
a fee for
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
It's not like, they don't oversee our operations. So either way, PEG money is going to the same purposes
It's just another thing in the.
no matter what. It's just accounted for on the town's books a different way. And as Alex said, the good thing about the reserve appropriation fund is there would be no retained earnings Currently, we have to wait 2 years for them to be available to us. And if we don't account for it in the budget, have something to spend it on,
Just that-
we don't get it. If we
It's
don't
credit
invoice
deferred.
for
It
it.
gets,
Yeah, yeah.
And see,
And
that's not right. I mean, it's your money. You should get all your money every year.
it can only be used for PEG purposes
Right.
anyway. And so
it's
this
just
way,
sitting there.
and they get the interest on it, right? 'Cause
Yes.
they have it in their fund, so
Yes.
we're not even benefiting
no,
from
we
the
don't get
interest
the
on it.
interest. This way, we would receive the interest, and the good thing about that is that Verizon and Comcast subscribers are really dropping off the rolls. So our funding is going down. I had expected Comcast to come up with our new contract because it's the same percentage as Verizon, and Verizon's at about 40,000 quarter, and Comcast is about 32,000, or is it the other way around?
It's the other way
No, it's the
around.
other way around, I'm sorry.
Comcast is number one.
Verizon used to be the higher one, and now they've dropped to about
Matter of fact,
32,000
it
quarter.
dropped so much, Lisa thought they didn't give you the.
Yeah, I thought it was wrong. I had to look for the percentage.
Yeah.
But statewide, Verizon has dropped a lot,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
looking like they may not be here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the long
well,
run.
they said that, the way they're set up is different. They said, our attorney for the contract negotiation said that, Verizon started out as a telephone company, so
They're not a cable company.
they're not. So however it works on their end, they can just say, we're done, we're not gonna do cable TV here anymore. Whereas Comcast is cable TV, they don't have that option. It's not in our contract with them that they can give us notice and just leave. The way Verizon said it, it's really my impression that they plan on leaving.
If I could just interject real quick, it's interesting, and it's not surprising that we're seeing a drop in Verizon, because anybody's on social media, they advertise actively that you should cut the cord, because they're making their money on internet. So if it
That's
doesn't,
that's who I had.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you're seeing a little bit of a dip in it, because they're
I mean, I have
encouraging
their
people
intent,
to cut the cord.
Yeah, I think there's been a trend where people are cutting the cord, meaning dropping cable service, maintaining internet connectivity. But when they drop the cable service, the television service, they no longer have to pay those franchise fees, which
Right.
hurt our
Right.
receipts.
Right. So-
At present, we're about 70,000, near a quarter, coming in from the two entities, which gets to our 280,000 a year to run the studio.
Right.
And then figuring out how to move. If that held up, the Reserve Appropriations Fund, like Whitman or Quincy or Whitman Hanson, they would have a similar model of just send that money that we received in the fiscal year over to the Appropriations Fund, and then they would disperse it to us. What would save us is while we have QuickBooks and we have a great accounting system of what is being spent for our studio activities, what would be nice is to not have the paperwork or need to put printed hard copies of all the receipts that, Lisa, I know you put a big effort into compiling, those quarterly, all 3 months, and every payroll run, every bill that we've paid is documented, but we have access to that in our QuickBooks. We're just printing these off as the steps to
Yeah.
justify
We
reimbursement.
give the paid invoices to the town, and they reimburse us for what we've already paid. And so we give them the paid invoices not for their approval,
Just as a paper copy.
just so they'll have proof of what they paid, because of the way
And
the
you can
fund is set up
electronically
now.
do it anyway, you can just scan
Yeah.
them all and just right over.
They won't take electronically transferred records?
Well, it's kind of a matter of how many will the printer save at a time, because there's usually like.
There's a lot of documents, and there's receipts. It's not like all one size uniformly. You have receipts from
Scan it, things
different
on the top,
stores.
it's like the-
You want to scan?
I don't wanna
50.
scan it, I'm just saying.
There's probably,
You have to copy
100.
them, you have to scan them, either way, you're doing something with them,
I
right?
can tell you it's probably 20 hours.
It's
yeah,
time
there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's very time.
So we, although we get every receipt anyway, I make a copy as the particular voucher for the studio and a copy for the town accountant.
Right.
So we have exactly what they were given,
Oh.
even though we have them spread out over the whole file cabinet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of man-hours that go into preparing this. Our
There
life
is.
would be simplified with a reserve appropriation.
Everybody's
And the
life
towns
would be
would too.
simplified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, it would be.
Because now they don't
One
have to review
transaction.
everything.
Yeah. And there, as I
They're in
said,
favor of it.
Time is money.
we are not taxpayer funded, and Comcast and Verizon receipts can't be used for anything but PEG purposes. And we collaborate with Town Hall for everything they need. And so that,
Well, we just spent 96.
yeah, the Town Hall remodel, as close as I can figure, the corporation spent about $96,966. The town also spent a few thousand because they had,
20,000.
20,000 because they had particular, needs, and, that was reimbursed from ARPA and what was the other one?
Because,
How's it running?
CARES
Good?
Act,
Everything
yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Everybody happy, pleased?
That remodel,
Yeah.
microphones, a television, cameras, remote activities, in the rooms of the town
Meeting
hall.
owls.
So it's a nice technological upgrade.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. So the next item on the agenda, the annual members meeting, we've scheduled that for October 12th at 6 PM right here at the studio. And we are taking member nominations for directors. They're due by September 27th, according to the corporate bylaws. Anybody can nominate anybody with, as long as they're a resident in town, with 16 signatures from other members, 10% of the membership. So as I said, that's due September 27th for the meeting on October 12th.
So basically, we need another director, because we only have one.
We have 4 currently.
Open seat, yep.
Yeah, and ideally, although it doesn't say it in the bylaws, I would prefer somebody that has either Comcast or Verizon. Yep.
Are you dogging me now?
No, no, I'm not.
I had it.
We'll just continue on from there. What else? I'm trying to think if there's something else I wanted to say before our executive director's report. I don't think so. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So really the two things that the members vote on according to the bylaws at the annual meeting is bylaw changes. We currently have none. And the new director. So
Nope, I don't even-
we as a board can vote in a new director, and then they would be confirmed by the membership at the annual meeting. If we don't end up with one and somebody wants to come along with us after the annual meeting, we as directors can vote them in. And they'll just be confirmed next year. So far, there's nobody. And now,
So it's just one director, right? Everybody else is still in,
All the terms
Yes.
are posted on the
I
ACAM
just don't have them.
website. I think they mostly run to 24 October.
24 and 25, yeah, yeah. Mr. Tachi, you're up.
Before I kind of go into my report, and I believe everybody was emailed the report last night, which you also have a hard copy, talking about the drop in subscribers, I have been watching closely legislation on the streaming bills. I have a great rapport with State Rep Joan Moschino and Matt Muratori. There was a committee meeting in July where it was lauded to that there's an importance to replacing the funding that access centers are losing because of these streaming services. Not if in fact this is enacted, this is something that's signed into law, we're not gonna be getting anything additional, it's just replacing what we're losing. So that's still in the process, last I heard. We still have another, what, 4 months, 3 months in this year, another year next year in the legislative session, so it's a matter if they're gonna keep pushing to get this passed. It's something that has been enacted in other states, and this hopefully will be something that'll help us along when it comes to funding. The first couple of pages basically are a rundown as to our activities here since the last time we met, including when the school year closed in mid to late June. We covered everything from senior awards to sports. As always, the Abington High School sports teams do an amazing job of being able to have deep runs in the playoffs. Boys lacrosse did a fantastic job. Softball was amazing, and then the boys state championship made it all the way to Polar Park in Worcester. If only they could have got the W, but it was a fun ride, and we broadcast. We actually live streamed it and had a lot of folks who were tuned in. From July and August, summer activities included our third annual middle school film camp, which seems to be growing in popularity, and whenever we promote it, there are usually parents whose children have attended who will laud our the activities here, and I tip of the cap to Matt Lyons and Derek Terrell. I know that we've tried to get Aaron Johnson to be a part of it, but usually scheduling has been difficult, but one of these years we'll get him to be part of the trio giving back to our middle school students. Camps were held July 11th to 13th and 18th and 20th. That was the first session. Second session was later in July and the first couple of days of August. We had 10 students that participated in the very first camp and 5 in the second. Both camps, students walked out here with certificates, and we actually produced multiple videos that were featured on local cable, mostly on the Ed channel, channels 14 and 26, for those who have Comcast and Verizon. We had a lot of busy work that we did here and a lot of things that we needed. One was the studio reorganization, trying to reclaim space around the studio to better maximize its use. The storage room, which is kind of I inherited, and there were just things that were within it that needed to be kind of organized. Well, that, if you have a chance before you walk out of here today, whether it's the directors or anybody in the audience, we now have a podcast and editing booth. So folks, individuals can go in, whether it's the community at large or our interns. Actually, we had our first intern meeting today, and a lot of the kids were very excited about the fact of being able to go in and do a podcast, or if they want to go and edit in a quiet space, they can do it. Not to say that the Microsoft labs that we have here aren't sufficient, but if we have a production that's going on, it can be kind of difficult to be able to edit in the back part of the studio or in the control room if there's a lot of activity. So this is just another alternative for them to go in there and
So now
produce.
is the podcast booth, is that something that community can use and rent, or do we have to sign up? or-
Community at large,
Yep.
interns, anybody who has an interest to
In
do that.
podcasts, so they want a place?
So we
That's good.
earlier this year, we launched the Abington Podcast Network. We did a soft launch.
Yeah.
That's kind of later in my notes, but I'm willing to kind of jump down if you need me to. And so we have 27 episodes that are up. It's a combination of staff and interns. Again, it's welcome anybody who wants to come in and do a podcast. Very easy to come in and discuss. We are not only on podbean.com, but we can be accessed on Spotify, which is a very popular podcast
Kids have that,
platform. So we also took a lot of the gear that we had in that storage area and we've actually kind of been sifting through. I've had various staff members who are coming in and looking through it, mainly Paul Watson, who's one of our part-timers. Some of the stuff he recognizes immediately. The idea is for him to kind of identify what it is, put it in a spreadsheet, and then we identify whether it's something that we can use immediately, something that can be used here in the studio, or is it something that is dated and can be put up for sale, whether we have a yard sale that we invite other PEG access centers, professionals, or amateurs who may want to come in and purchase some of this gear, and then we can kind of put those monies back into our coffers to, again, replenish and buy new stuff. A lot of training also transpired between July and August, starting with the town hall training, getting our staff and interns up to speed with using the smart boards, how to operate the smart boards if in fact they're asked, if they are covering a meeting, how to be able to troubleshoot the equipment, or be able just to operate it, just put up a simple graphic. We did that. Production software training. We have started using a software called Production Truck. It's an application that actually, because we have a shared interest with the boosters, that we're able to get Production Truck as an add-on to put a graphic. Anybody who's watched any of our sports, whether on YouTube or on the channels or on our live streams, there's usually like a bug or a scoreboard, whether it's at the top or the bottom. This is something that Division I schools are using. We were probably the first PEG Access Center that has started using it, because we have a staff member who is no longer here full-time, but is, he had putting in a few hours here and there, but willing to train and teach. So that's what we did, is we actually had Matt Nelson provided guidance, and we actually had a training where a limited number of staff members were able to kind of have hands-on using footage that we had from previous raw footage, and being able to kind of see how to put the scoreboard up, how to make changes, how to do instant replay. That's something we'll look to use more and more during this coming school year. Drone test and flight course. We had the 3 members receive training. I was one of the 3 members. The course, we had a chance to understand study material between the FAA rules and regulations, along with being able to get an understanding of how to fly a drone, how to set things like return to home. So we had a chance to do that. Now the next thing is for us to take tests and be able to train maybe interns or the public at large how to test for your 107 license and be able to fly a drone.
There you go.
How many drones do we have? ACAM?
3.
2 small, we have 1 large. I think earlier, prior to the meeting and just kind of mingling and talking, and it was asked about the use of the drone. You will be able to see use of drone footage that whether it's us or actually other community members have actually shared. If you look at the summer concerts, we actually have the opening and the first couple of concerts, you see drone footage. A gentleman named David Bragg, who's an Abington resident, was kind enough to shoot some footage for us and share it with us. So it's one of those things that that's giving back. Speaking of the summer concerts, again, we are finishing up the last edits. Ian Deming and Matt Lyons did the yeoman's work of covering the concerts as we do every year. And those are we usually let a couple of weeks go by of the first couple of concerts. It gives us time to kind of do a nice edit on them and then release them every week. And I have regular conversations with Nancy and Jan about when we're going to release them. Usually it's Saturday nights at 6. We actually repeat 6, 8, and 10. And then on Wednesdays, we'll play them again. And we have 2 more concerts that are left. But those, if they are released, on Saturday night. Usually they are premiering on YouTube the very same night. We talked a little bit, mentioned of the website. We actually had some website training. Steve Culp, who is our webmaster, spent a couple of days here. We've actually done some work on the website, adding buttons for platforms, making it easier for folks to know where the live stream is for the drop down, doing a little doing some reorganization. And it's also going to be home for our information for our newsletter, which will be launched next week. Student interns, again, met with our group. We have 5 seniors, 2 juniors, and 1 middle school student. And we have a handful of intern programs. They've already promised to start doing these programs again. And as a breakdown for the early part of this year, from January 19th to July 6th, 429 hours worked by our interns for $6,444.14.
Well, Kevin, do we have any freshmen and sophomores? Because it looks like 5 seniors, and 2 juniors.
We're actively recruiting,
Okay.
always recruiting. It's a matter of getting them in here. And a lot of times kids will come in here and go, I didn't know this was here. I try to use my interns to say, hey, if you know somebody who might be interested, bring them in. I do believe that our middle school student is actively trying to ask friends to join. It's just a matter of,
Was he part of, or he or she part of the summer trainings as well? The middle student?
he actually was, yeah, he was, but he is not a co-op student. He's a volunteer, so he's not paid, but he still enjoys coming in and producing.
Yeah.
As Lisa had mentioned, the town hall project is now complete. Recently, we had the engineer come in who's been overseeing the project, installed some new microphones in the Buckley room. This is designed to improve the quality of the audio in that room. As I usually do with these reports, give you a breakdown of our marketing and outreach between June and August. All platforms, again, seeing a growth, which is great. It means that people they like what they see and they want to, follow what we're doing. I do my best to make sure that I'm putting fresh information up on all platforms, whether we're doing a shoot here or we're out doing stuff with the community. We make sure we take some images and share them. Cablecast and programming. Between June and August, we added 148 new shows. Again, this is usually a combination of community events, ENG studio produced shows, and the average run time is about 47 minutes. I already mentioned podcasting. Studio miscellaneous. Channel outage. 3 of our Comcast, the local PEG channels. Now, actually, there was one that was on purpose in July that we had to shut down for a couple of days because the school was doing cleaning in their electrical closets. Now, I don't know if anybody recalls last year, Brockton Hospital had a major fire, a 10 or 11 alarm fire. That was due to an electrical issue that the thought was to power down for a day, clean those areas to prevent having something similar that happened to Brockton Hospital. So we were able to power down, power back up with no problem.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the forced outage, we had nothing to do with. Got a call from a concerned citizen saying, I haven't seen anything on here in a couple of days. Upon contacting the XOC, we were able to find a way to have one of the techs come, do a check. What they try to do is they bounce light signals up the fiber optic cable to see if it's going to make it all the way back to the head end, or if it'll stop somewhere. Well, it did stop somewhere, just on the outside of the property, over where there's the property line where the turf field is, and then there's the natural grass in the front. So there's a utility pole. The fiber team actually found a rodent bed. They were using the cable to make a bed and they had chewed through the cable. They were able to restore it, yeah,
Mhm.
mouse or a rat or whatever.
Thought they saw the mouse.
They did see the mouse. The mouse actually popped up out of the hole when they
Was
were
watching TV.
repairing it.
I have a question. So when that went down, we had no idea it went down until somebody called us?
That is correct.
So is there any way to make sure that we can figure out some way to?
That's in the process.
Okay.
We have confidence monitors to be able to kind of see that, but what we see basically is on Verizon, not Comcast.
Okay.
Okay. Just so anybody who does have Comcast who is watching, times are changing. Thanks to Peter actually, who was a subscriber, received a letter, what, about a month ago?
Yeah, something like that.
Saying that we're moving down the channels. We are going from channels 13, 14, and 15, again, only Comcast, to 6, 8, and 9. This is kind of standard they're doing across. There are other access centers who are experiencing the same thing. This is taking place on September 21st, which is going to be 2 weeks from today. So hopefully folks received correspondence and are going to be aware.
Well, it'll be on the TV Guide channel.
Correct.
Our programming is not on the TV Guide channel, but it does say.
It'll
that
say local channels.
we can be found there.
Right.
Right.
And our website has the indication what channels they are. We'll update it
That's right,
on or
yeah.
near
Right.
9/21.
And that is correct. I actually had a conversation with Steve Culp, and Steve has already made the graphics to swap those out as soon as that happens. Health insurance renewal. Met with our health connector representative Susan Burtwell, and had a long conversation about some of our options, whether we should look and see what might be available if we were to switch. I think we did that the last year, the
2
year
years ago.
before.
Yeah.
Should we switch HMOs? And so the current plan we have right now is the Tufts Direct Gold. It's kind of a limited in network type of a service. The current plan, I guess, is going to increase a little more than 7% for the next year. After having lengthy discussions and kind of looking around at similar ones, it was kind of determined that it would be best if we stayed with this particular option.
Kevin, when you have these discussions with Health Connector, is Lisa involved? So there's other people that know what's going on, or is it just you making the decision?
I'm sharing with Lisa and discussing
Okay.
with Lisa.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'm involved, so we can.
Yeah, just so, you
sort
know,
out the
somebody's not, so it's not,
Yeah, I'm not-
it's just- I'm just thinking conflict of interest, that's why I asked.
Absolutely not, nope.
Yep. We did the same thing.
Okay.
So,
Next major project, this is something that I know that we've loosely have discussed in the past, you know, now that we've done town hall, what's the next big thing? Thought is replacing the tightrope playback system. This is a system that's it's 7 years old and has a limited amount of hard drive space remaining. And I know with the recent contract renewal of Comcast that the addition of, there's going to be an addition of an HD channel. I believe that Peter and I have had a conversation about us submitting a letter to Verizon and also asking, while they're still around, that we see if we can get an HD channel. Knowing that the systems, again, when you look at obsolescence when it comes to a piece of equipment, I mean, it's a short lifespan. I mean, we could probably go a couple more years, but again, knowing that we have a limited amount of space, and if we're going to be getting an HD channel, it means that hard drive space, if we're going to be increasing the quality of our product, means this is going to eat up more of that hard drive space.
do we have an estimate?
So I've had a chance to speak with a couple of vendors. Early odds right now. So there are 3 different types of playback systems. There's Castus, there's Telview, and then there's the one we have, which is Tightrope. I like Tightrope, but there are bells and whistles that Telview has.
I've heard of Telview. I've
Yeah.
heard of Telview.
Problem with Telview is Telview's a little, it's kind of pricey. Early indications, talking with one vendor, just hardware and software insurances, it could be $60,000 at a start. It could go as high as $120,000, $130,000. You could factor in digital signage, engineering costs to be able to pull out the old gear and put the new gear in. So that's
Is that, which vendor is that?
G&G.
Oh,
G&G was the one that gave me.
But this is
It's all tightrope.
Which service?
oh, this is for tightrope or
For
telephone?
tightrope,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
tightrope would
that's
be.
tightrope?
yeah.
Oh, I thought. wait a
Tightrope
minute.
right now, again, early numbers would be, just for the hardware and the assurances would be 60.
So what were the other two?
I'm waiting for
Okay.
quotes on that right now.
So that's just tightrope.
Right.
okay.
Is the engineering firm G&G, is that what you said, Kevin? Who was the engineering firm? that
Andreas,
installed it?
Andreas is the gentleman. Andreas does a lot of the work. He actually is very, very affluent. He tell you and tightrope like him. They'll fly him around the country to do jobs because he is so well versed and he understands the matrix of the system. I've been working with him for probably 15 years and I've seen some of the work that he's done and it's probably some of the best around. And then finally, I think that
You'll send us the information of
Yes.
which,
Yes.
pros and cons of both
Yes.
and everything.
But
to make-
again, and
It's gonna take some time.
and this isn't something that's
Preliminary research.
Yeah.
This isn't something that's immediate either. It's not like we're like, alert.
What are you looking for?
Right now,
Like, time frame.
Awareness.
time frame, it could be 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
Okay. And also knowing that we have our funds tied up, I know that's something that we have to be mindful as well. And finally, I think I mentioned it, the plan is to launch our newsletter. You'll see some of those blurbs in the news portion. We want to try to utilize our website more. There might be a request of the people who are sitting at this table to give images of themselves to put up on the website. But you can say no. Totally up to you.
Thank you.
But again, kind of break down, I may do it with the staff and we all take images and put them up and identify who we are, so folks get a better idea as to who we are. And that is my report.
Kevin, maybe I missed it, but did you make mention of the Dr. Basta and Dr. Robbins project? I think it was a bullet, it just went.
Thank you. I did jump over that. I apologize. It's so easy because there's a lot that's packed in here. We're working with Dr. Basta, Chris Basta, and Dr. James Robbins. They came to me just at the end of the school year and wanted to devise a video, training videos on civil rights and when they have new hires. This is the incorrect way of handling a situation. This is the proper way. We could have very easily. So we've been, myself and Matt Lyons, been working on script writing, and I've tasked Matt Lyons at picking up a new skill, and that is animation. So there's an animation software within Adobe that we're able to, there's movement. It's very South Parkish or Family Guy-ish. But the idea was
There
to
should
kind
be
of.
somebody in the high school, the digital or whatever, they should have animation, because I think Taylor took an animation class when she was here.
Is Taylor busy?
Oh, no, I'm saying the school.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying this is something that they came to us, they wanted to partner with us to do.
But one of the teachers, I think, taught it, so they should have some kind of,
Sure. But again, I'm proud of the fact that they came to us and asked us to
I know.
To do that,
If you
so-
needed help.
But it was the idea that we had presented, doing something different and kind of outside the box. Now, as part of a possible fallback, we could also, bring in some actors and use the same scripts to, role play and play out those scenes.
Oh, so they want you to do the actors and everything?
Voiceovers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you want to be part of the
oh,
voiceover?
no, thank you.
Okay.
You should do it.
I like the ACAM APS partnership, that's great.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying, one of the teachers could probably help out a little bit. Or somebody who teaches the animation class, if they still have it. I don't know if they still do.
Again, it was an idea to kind of bring it up to speed. There was originally, I had myself had this software that I had purchased, but the software went from being owned by a smaller company and swallowed up by a bigger one. And so what ended up happening was that subscription that I bought and had a lifetime subscription to,
Gosh.
was rolled over into this bigger company that says, yeah, you can have that. It's not gonna work as well, but if you subscribe, pay monthly subscription, you have all of these bells and whistles. So we have to find an alternative to that.
Nice report. You got a lot of activities going on.
Good,
Yes.
thank you. So the last item on the agenda is general business and items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance. I have none.
I have none.
Me and Sandy don't have any.
No, nothing. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I
Move to
second.
adjourn.
Oh, I thought,
All in
I'm ready
favor?
to go, can you go?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, awesome, thank you.
Thank you.